So all about back. Trauma of spine we have covered in the last earlier classes. Got it? Then tuberculosis was covered in the last class with regard to spine. Now more specifically this is regard to the degenerative process in the spine. Most often the degenerative process cause a lot of back problems, and we just summed it up in one name called back pain, because it can be in the neck, it can be in the lower back or in the dorsum, right? All of them will be covered under this, right? All the topics with respect to disc prolapse, with respect to spondylolisthesis, all those topics will be covered, right? So it's a very common thing, and it's like so common like headache or common cold, right? And it affects substantial number of population, various spread in various age groups at various points in their lives. Either you may be a child jumping, hopping, skipping, or you may be an adult even just trying to lift a weight and you end up in backache. Right? So nobody for that matter, or no age is immune to this condition. Everybody can suffer equally, and without any discrimination to age, race, sex, gender, and not everybody will suffer, and this is the prevalence rate. As you age, back pain increases. The incidence and prevalence of back pain increases with age. Simple. And why does it happen? There are self-explanatory many factors, like superheroic actions of this sort or even this sort, whatever it is, twisting, bending, pulling, pushing, so many activities can cause backache. And it is really a headache for the surgeons to identify what is the cause for this backache and treat it, because most of the backaches they start with disc problem in the disc, intervertebral disc. It is actually a shock absorber, a buffering system with the nucleus pulposus in between and annulus fibrosus surrounding it, and above you have one vertebra, below another vertebra, and you have the end plates, anteriorly anterior longitudinal ligament, posteriorly posterior longitudinal ligament. If you can just visualize this much, I will show you the pictures. Disc is the center for all the problems. Kindly close the door. No? So disc is the center for all the problems that most often we face with. So usually the problem will be in the disc, and rest of the problems are already there, always there, and that can be discussed separately. So this is generalized with respect to starting with disc and ending at so many other conditions in the spine. Now why it is a headache is disc protrusion or herniation, that is going out from its confinements, the nucleus pulposus going out from its confining annulus fibrosus, can be found in 30 to 50% of the population in the absence of symptoms. If you take an MRI for one person at a given period of time, he may be having a disc prolapse, a protrusion or extrusion, but without any symptoms. What does that mean? That means he has some problem in the disc, but he doesn't have any symptoms. And for some people, there may not be any disc identifiable, but they will have a lot of symptoms, right? And even large and dramatic disc herniations and extrusions can be found asymptomatic, and at the same time simplest of the simple discs will cause a lot of pain. That is why it is a very big headache to identify what is the cause and then treat it. You know the anatomy part of it: 7 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, 4 coccygeal vertebrae, and 31 roots, 33 vertebrae and 31 roots, right? Till here you are clear? The anatomy part of it, and you know the bony anatomy as well as the soft tissue anatomy of the spine. This is a vertebral body, this is a pedicle, this is another pedicle, this is a superior articular facet, this is a transverse process, this is the lamina, this is the spinous process. This junction of the lamina with the pedicle and transverse process and the superior and inferior articular process, at this junction is called as pars interarticularis. Just remember that word. And this is a neural arch. This forms the posterior confinement of the spinal canal, and the posterior part of the vertebral body forms the anterior confinement of the spinal canal. This is the spinal canal through which the spinal cord along with the dura and the roots travel down, right? And now once this is the axial view you are seeing from top, and this is a sagittal view. If you see, this is the vertebral body, pedicle, superior inferior articular process, this is the spinous process, and this is the neural foramen through which your spinal roots come out, especially beneath the pedicle, right? and here will be the disc between the two vertebral bodies, acting as a buffer or a shock absorber. Now this is the disc and this is the spinal root coming out. If suppose by any means the disc which is having a nucleus pulposus inside comes out, what happens? Usually goes back, and there you have the spinal cord, if it is in the center or on the sides of it, that is towards this side, on lateral, we call it as lateral recess. Here you have the nerve roots coming out. So there can be a compression of the cord or a compression of the root depending on the type of disc prolapse that is happening. This is one you need to see. Next you have the ligaments, anterior longitudinal ligament anterior to the vertebral body, posterior longitudinal ligament posterior to the vertebral body. This is the superior and inferior articular process, right, and facet joint. This is called as facet joint, which is a synovial joint again surrounded with capsule, and in between these two spinous process you have interspinous ligaments. Over the spinous process you have supraspinous ligament, right, and once you go, this is the ligamentum flavum. Now between the two laminae we have gone, if you can go back, this is the lamina, this one, this is the lamina, and above it, if at all you have another vertebra, you have another lamina. Between these two laminae you have one ligament called as ligamentum flavum, that is going from one lamina to the superior lamina. So all around the spinal canal has both bony confinements as well as surrounded with soft tissues, right. So if at all there is any problem to the spinal cord because of this, this can be because of bony or soft tissues. Okay. Now this is a radiograph of the same spine, a cut section, a similarly looking spine. This is the disc, this is the vertebral body, right. This is the transverse process, this is the ligamentum flavum, if you can see, between two laminae. This is one lamina, this is second lamina, if then this becomes the ligamentum flavum. Then this is the spinal canal, this is the posterior longitudinal ligament, anterior longitudinal ligament. Okay. It's all about anatomy, you already know it, but I am reiterating. The muscles of the spine, I need not say, they are layered into three layers: superficial, intermediate and deep muscular layer. All of them are what? Dynamic stabilizers of the spine. Whatever we have learnt about the earlier structures, which are ligaments and capsules, they are static stabilizers of the spine, but the muscles are dynamic stabilizers of the spine. You need to remember this part. If at all there is something wrong going on in the spine, right, the dynamic stabilizers play a major important role. The muscles play a major important role. They support the spine. If muscles are weak, then the support of the spine is weak, then the chances of the spine getting injured or causing problem will be more, right. Then coming to pathoanatomy. Now back pain by itself means we are dealing something with pain. Now what are all the pain causing structures in the spine, you need to identify first, right. Otherwise what happens? It will be a big mess. From where this is coming, where I have to treat, where I have to look into will always be a big question. For that matter, now this slide shows you what are all the pain sensitive structures in the spine. If at all there is any inflammation in the posterior joints of the spine, what are the posterior joints of the spine? Facet joints. If at all there is something wrong, you can have pain in the spine. Pain because of the spinal column. One is facet joints, second is intervertebral disc per se. Next the ligaments, anterior posterior longitudinal ligament and all other ligaments whatever which are enumerated just before, and then the muscles. If at all there is some problem with the muscles, if there is a muscle tear or muscle strain, or if it is a muscle is extremely stretched or it has tired and there is lactic acidosis, there are all sorts of pain. Muscles can also be a cause of pain. Then there are meninges which can be a root cause for pain, and then the nerve roots. If at all a nerve root is irritated, it can also give rise to pain, but the pain because of nerve root irritation will be definitely different from the pain caused by ligaments and muscles, and will be different from the pain caused because of any inflammation in the facet joints. Am I clear? So this is another pictorial depiction how the nerve roots they come out. This is the anterior primary division. If you can see, there is one nerve called sinovertebral nerve which is supplying the posterior aspect of the annulus, which is the most important nerve, okay, which is implicated in many of the backaches. Just remember this one, sinovertebral nerve. It comes from where it is coming from. See, this is the anterior primary division. It is interconnected to the sympathetic ganglion too. Okay, sinovertebral nerve is implicated in many of the backaches. And whenever there is a disc pathology, when the sinovertebral nerve is irritated, if you can see, there is a direct interlink and connection between these things through the anterior primary division into the posterior muscles which are innervated by the medial, intermediate and lateral branches. Why this is important is whenever there is a disc pathology, right, body tries to see, right, pain is a protective phenomena. Body tries to see to that the pain causing area is squadroned off or made to rest, put to rest. Now that happens by protective muscle spasm. Once there is a stimulus from here, a reflexive protective spasm occurs in these muscle groups and hence your spine becomes stiff. Suppose you have injured your disc by lifting a heavy weight which is not to your capability, and suddenly what happens, your muscles go into spasm and they will not allow any more things to be done with that spine. This anatomy shows you how it happens, right? And you know, most of the neurophysiology of pain, it starts from periaqueductal gray matter controlling. You gave spinal gate theory of pain, have you learnt in physiology? The same thing, but most important thing here you need to remember is our body has a capability to suppress the pain, right, from the brain. That is one. Two, psychological aspect of it, the limbic system plays an extremely important role in controlling this pain. That means what? Pain is a psychological phenomena to certain extent. If the patient is depressed, anxious, even if some small amount of irritation is there in the spinal cord, he will have a lot of pain. If the patient is really busy with some other work, even if he is having a lot of pain, right, he can bear it without any much of the suffering. It means what? Psychology of the patient plays an important role when it comes to pain, and more especially back pain. That much you need to remember. So the psychological state is an extremely important thing. At times we may have to even treat the psychological part of it also. Otherwise, you just keep on treating the pain part of it, he will never be happy. His unhappiness in fact is the cause of pain or exaggeration of the pain, right? Now what is the pathophysiology of this back pain? If at all we can see, most of the pathophysiology starts with the degeneration, and this degeneration happens most often in the disc. If you can remember that part, everything is taken care of nicely. And if at all you have to cut the spine and see, the vertebral motion segment can be seen in these three joint complex. What is the three joint complex? Two posterior joints, facet joints, right, and the disc. Most of the problems happen in these three things, and this leads to secondary problems in the soft tissues, and later on there may be a permanent bony changes happening in these bones which are forming the neural arch, and ultimately what happens is they go and occupy the space occupied by the spinal cord. Ultimately you have a problem now arising from the spinal cord canal compromise. Got it? It so happens these are all the compensatory changes which are happening to stabilize the spine, in fact decrease the pathology, and ultimately we are going and encroaching upon a spinal cord which is a sensitive structure, and we end up in an increase in the pathology. It is a degenerative pathology per se to start with. Now let us see how it happens.